15 Nigerian billionaires have lost as much as 800 billion naira to the bearish performance of the Nigerian equities market in the third quarter ended September, as their collective wealth dropped by 11.9%. By the end of September, the combined fortune of these billionaires had decreased from 6.74 trillion naira on June the 30th to 5.94 trillion naira. This was based on the billionaire tracker created by Nairametrics, which was based on the direct and indirect holdings of well-known billionaires who own stock in publicly traded companies in Nigeria. The underperformance of the stock market was to blame for the billionaires' loss. Joining me now to discuss this further is Samuel Oyekanmi, a macroeconomics analyst with Nairametrics. Good evening. Great to see you on the show. This is a billionaire's boys club, as you put it in Nairametrics. So let's describe the Billionaire Index for me. How was it compiled? How you track it?
Okay, yeah. So the Billionaires Index on Nairametrics is a list of notable people in Nigeria who have substantial stakes in publicly listed companies. What we do is we compile both their direct and indirect stocks, and then we monitor this every now and then to check in case of changes, in case any one of them do sell or buy additional stocks. This we compare, and then, of course, multiplying by the unit price on a daily basis, you get their value at every point in time. We do this across the 30 biggest companies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That's really how the index is being tracked and populated.
Are these billionaires set to lose more in the fourth quarter? We're just 1 month down into the final quarter of the year. Today is November the 1st. What's the message of the market to these billionaires?
Yeah, the market has been bearish for a while. Throughout the second half of the year, the market has really been on a bearish movement. And the gains that were recorded in the first half of the year, over 20%, has almost completely wiped off. And it almost looks like we might be heading towards a negative return for the end of the year. But of course, we cannot really say for certain, because we are really in very surprising times, and the stock market could just surprise us. But it does not look so positive right now.
But I'm just going back to that question. If you think the stock market will close out positive this year, we started, look at the second quarter, early part of that, we're doing roughly 19%. Now we're down to just about 2.4% on the Oyekanmi Index. So are we still optimistic? Perhaps we could see what you call the Santa Claus rally on the stock market.
I don't see that happening, really, to be fair, because look at the market, for example. Look at the Nigerian economy also. The raising of the interest rate to 15.5% by the CBN. A lot of Nigerian investors are looking to reallocate their fundings to various portfolios that could hedge them against inflation. And the stock market does not seem to be, at least there's not so much opportunities out there right now. If you look at the sub indices, you realize that it's apart from the oil and gas and the growth stock, every other indices, sub indices of the Oyekanmi Index is actually going through a year-to-date negative. So looking at that, it tends to give you an indication of how investors perceive the Nigerian stock market. Foreign portfolio investment in the Nigerian stock market has also almost completely dwindled significantly. Less than 25% of trading activities in the stock market accounts for foreign investment. And of course, it just gives you quite a bearish movement going forward. And I probably do not see that happening. But of course, we never can tell. But based on numbers right now, it doesn't really seem so positive.
Yeah, it doesn't really look so positive. But what other factors aside flooding causing a spike in food items? Companies such as Nestle came in with very robust third quarter earnings, paying a interim dividend of about 25 naira per share. That's quite a whole lot. So do you think inflation is still and interest rate is still a major concern for those who are investing in the equities side of things?
Of course, yeah, inflation is a major bane in every consideration for every Nigerian, even the global environment at the moment. If you look at the real returns for most of the investment opportunities right now, it tends to end up being a negative. And right now, a 2% year-to-date gain compared to an inflation of over 20%, you're roughly getting a real negative returns of 18%. It doesn't really pose so much positivity for Nigerian Nigerian investors, and that's why you're seeing a lot of movement into some safe haven assets. Because if volatile instruments are not doing as well, you might as well just put your money in fixed income. So you see the likes of Treasury bill, and of course, because of the hike in interest rates, we are seeing rally also in the rates for Treasury bills and federal government savings bonds. We tend to be seeing a lot of movement going towards that direction, which is hampering the performance of the stock market and many other volatile instruments.
Interesting. If we talk about betting, I had to thinking perhaps folks are doing a whole lot more betting. The money that goes to this betting, folks, Baba Ijebu and Co. should be coming to your market.
Because of the Nigerian environment, right? Investing is not really something that a lot of the non-elites, those who are not educated as much, do. Of course, because of lack of employment, the uncertainties around the Nigerian economy. Everybody just wants to make money as quick and fast as possible. Betting has been seen as one of those opportunities presented to them. But of course, I think they didn't know better anyways, because even as a statistician, I would say there's something we call gambler's reign. And gambler's reign is that a gambler would always go broke, irrespective of your gaming system, as far as you have a negative expected value. And everyone who gambles actually has, in most cases, have negative expected value, because the players of the games are actually the owners of the game. And that's why they say there are no winners of gamble, but players of gamble. And of course, and that's what we are saying. Nigerians, youth especially, are putting their money in betting platforms instead of actually investing. And you at some point, you probably have heard people even say investment is even gamble, because they do not really know the difference. And that's the reality. It would have been nice if this funds that is going to betting platforms has been going into our equities market or other investment portfolios. We would have probably have a more robust equities market by now.
Do you think we should have a stricter regulation in the betting sector, perhaps?
When we say stricter regulation, I think that's quite a very tricky question, because of course betting is currently regulated right now by the National Lottery Act of 2005, and they all seems to be working in line with that. According to the rules, also, if you are not 18 years and above, you cannot bet. And to the best of our knowledge, all these are being adhered to by these sporting platforms. If that's the case, I probably see no reason why we would suggest that they should be stricter regulations, unless, of course, it can be proven that these betting platforms are not doing as what they are supposed to be doing.
Well, maybe higher tax on those who bet, by the way. Perhaps that's what some of folks are thinking. Do you see the possibility for betting companies in Nigeria being listed on the stock exchange? We could bring, there are quite so many of them. Maybe it's time to ask them to just step forward and be listed.
I don't think there's anything against them from doing that, but I doubt they would want to put their self out there really in full force. But of course, I really do not see a problem with betting platforms listing publicly. But then their business model, would they be willing to do that? I doubt they would. Every business like that, they always want to keep them private. They always want to make the profit private. They don't want the government to know as much as how they make their money and how much profit they make. At some point, Nairametrics estimated that betting platforms rake in at least over 700 billion annually. But that's an estimate. It could even be more than that. But so, of course, these firms would not want to go public and allow the public to know as much as they make from the people.
Oh, I understand it. I get that. But what's your outlook on the Nigerian economy for 2023 at Nairametrics? What are you guys looking at? Crunch the numbers for me based on what you know and what we don't know.
So for 2023, there are a number of things that we want to look at and consider before you would want to make any form of prediction or projection for the Nigerian economy. Right now, exchange rate is really all over the place right now. We hear 820, we hear 810. There's just confusion and a lot of speculations around the exchange rate. And that's something that a lot of people are putting their ears on the ground to know what is going to happen. And then the CBN policy to redesign higher denominations is also something that a lot of people are looking out for, because there have been projections and considerations that a number of politicians could find their hands being shot here, because if they might, in case they are not able to meet the deadline of the CBN. But all in all, I think looking at inflation, exchange rate, and then the crude oil market, all this will play a huge part in how the Nigerian economy is going to pan out next year. And then election for next year is another uncertain time for Nigeria. So yeah, but at the end of the day, we definitely will not be able to put numbers to it, but it doesn't really look so positive, if I may say, because most of the numbers are really stacked against us, except there are some very strict, unpopular decisions to be made by the government, both from the fiscal side and from the monetary side. If we are able to make some policies that could change the tide, yeah, we could be seeing some positive, some green in 2023. But right now, they don't really look so positive.
On a final note, what do you think the biggest headwind is for the economy next year? Is it inflation? Is it interest rate? Is it the war in Ukraine? Is it the transition? Is it the election?
Election, yeah. Election is the mainstay for everyone. That's the main factor everyone is considering. But of course, every other factor are all entangled in it. Be it inflation, Russia-Ukraine war is not as hard on the Nigerian economy as it is right now. We want to talk more about flooding and food security. And those are factors that Nigerians should really be worried about. The fact that we now have more poor Nigerians, and his estimation that we could be hitting over 95 million poor Nigerians by the end of the year. That's a call for worry. The line between the rich and the poor is getting so much wider, and we're getting more poor people in the Nigerian economy. That's a bane for even any government coming in by 2023. But of course, election is top on the list, followed by many other factors.
Thank you so much, Samuel Oyekanmi, macroeconomic analyst at Nairametrics. Thank you so much, and we appreciate sharing that Billionaire Index with us.